persuasive that I should attack him because he sent his entire army there, and he's got Mind Blasters, and the opponent's got Flame Huts, which is definitely not a good combo. Mind Blasters, eventually once Mind Blasters and Flame just do not mix. If you see a guy going pure Mind Blasters, the best thing to go are Flame Tanks. Unless it's in the beginning. If it's in the very beginning of attack, what you want to do is just switch out, get Flame Bikes. Flame Bikes are great against Mind Blasters, but once the Mind Blasters reach a critical mass, they will pretty much one-shot a Flame Bike, which is not good. And because it one-shots that Flame Bike, and because Flame Bikes bunch up, it will just totally destroy you. So, here's my suggestion. In the beginning, if you see a guy going mass Mind Blasters, and he doesn't even have a single extender, go Flame Bikes. Just for a little while, at least. But if you see him go extender and Mind Blaster, what you need to do is have Gats. And then transition to Flame Tanks if he continues to go Mind Blasters. Now right there, just grabbing some resist, because I know a lot of people have extenders and Gatling cars. So kinetic upgrade, kinetic resistance would be helpful. And the more nitro, the better. And then I realized, oh yeah, I've got 2 huts. Nobody's using them. Might as well build, barracks for free peacekeepers. And we're just going to totally dominate this base. There's no doubt about it, because there's nothing to defend him. And so, green is down pretty much 1 player. And right there, it was a miss fleet point, where the fleet point was just right outside the garage. Which is not that good, because then the heal hut can't heal. And right now, just expanding a lot. And luckily I built those extra dump trucks, so that's all good. I have a good amount of trash. Right there, you see, I hit 0, which is definitely not good. But as you can see, we pretty much own the top half of the map. And right there, Insane Cataclysm just got eliminated. And I believe he was the purple. He was one of the purple guys, and he had already died and ran to his partner's base and was pretty much just hiding out there. And what happens in this game is, if all your buildings die, your entire army and any unit you own just instantly dies, which I do love. I remember this one game where this guy had a massive amount of army and he was attacking my ally, but what I did was I just ran in with a bunch of tanks and annihilated his base within seconds. And once his entire base died, his entire army died, and basically after that we won, which was pretty nice feeling. Right there, you see my partner. He's all the way down there, and he can be easily doubled. But you just saw right there, he had a super gun in his base. Now, what a super gun is it's a super weapon, and it can only be placed on super toxic. Basically, what a super toxic is, it's a toxic metal, it's a toxic waste one, but it looks slightly different, and it's pretty. In a 1v1, there's only one, which is in the middle of the map, and in 2v2, there's still only one in the middle of the map. I believe a 3v3 there are 2, but I'm just not sure. And in TFFAs and stuff, it's completely crazy random. And right there, what you see is a chieftain bombarding my ally, which is definitely not good because of the high amount of area it does. Now, there are a couple things I want to tell you about. The first thing is the human chieftain is called a semi, and you don't see it too often because what a semi does is it shoots bombs, and it just doesn't have as much AO as a chieftain does, but its bullets do more damage. But what it's actually really good at is killing buildings, rather than killing units. The chieftain is more geared towards killing units because of the large AO damage it does and the damage over time it does, which is ginormous. But that's not to say that chieftain can't kill buildings, because it can, and it kills them pretty fast. And that doesn't say that semis can't attack units, because they can, but it's just not as good as the chieftain. Now what you saw right there was just, this guy was just attacking me because his entire base was dying. So he's like, I might as well try to get some extra points out of it. And also, you saw the tank's weakness. The tank's weakness is smaller units, like peacekeepers. And basically what happens is the tank misses or only hurts it a little bit, not full damage, because of their size. Now, that's why the Stingers, which are pretty much tanks, but they're like RPG men, because they've got, RPGs in their hand. Actually, they've got Stinger missiles in their hand, but they can attack both ground and air with them. And so, they are really good against tanks because A, they'll do a lot of damage to tanks, and B, when tanks try to hit them, it just doesn't hurt them that much. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to wall off this warp gate, because I see a warp gate, and then obviously it wasn't ours, so I need to do something about it, because enemy units could just flood through that warp gate. So I was like, okay, just wall, a couple sections off. That way, if someone tries to come through, then it will notify me. And so I have enough time to run over there before they're destroyed. And also, I canceled my super gun to make a super tank factory. And what a super tank factory is, a super rape. That's what it is. Because what happens is, the super tank factory will build a super tank. And a super tank is a larger version of a tank that can attack both ground and air. And it has the resistance like a tank, which is pretty sweet, I would say. And it does a high AEO damage. It even, if your units are even touching like melee distance close to the super tank's target, it will do damage to you too, so you better watch out. And does rape damage also. But the problem is, if you try to get it some upgrades, it takes like a lot of upgrades before it even gets one total upgrade. But a tank with rag and high amounts of nitro is total rape. I wish I had done that. But I didn't. But also, the thing is, even though the tank is really good and has a high amount of HP, it takes a really long time to heal it with the heal HUD. So if you have a mutant partner who has passive repair and is able to give it to you, the passive repair will heal, I believe, 50 or 100 per second. So it's pretty ridiculous about how fast it can heal. And pretty much what a passive repair is after a certain amount of time, that it's not attacking or is not being attacked, it will start healing by itself, which is a mutant upgrade and is not available for humans. But I'll go into more of the mutant and human upgrades a little bit later when I do my tutorial videos, which I believe I will be uploading next. But right now, I'm in a situation where I've got finals coming up, because I'm in college, if I didn't mention that before. And I've got finals. I've got one final this week, and I've got three to four finals next week. So I need to start studying before I start failing all this stuff. And so enough about me. Back to the game. I wanted to scout that little corner out that you saw, because I want to make sure, because I remember I saw that pink human and attacking the green one that was there. And so I was like, okay, gotta make sure he's not, he doesn't own the base or anything. And then I saw, it was still empty. I saw a dump truck, but it's only a dump truck. So then I see my partner's attacking here. They need my help, because that's more than one person. I believe that's two people and 3 people versus 2 people. Obviously, well, not obviously. Sometimes the 2 people can win, but in this case, the 3 people will dominate. And right now, I have my guys just set on like auto attack, But then I realized there are a lot of tanks, and what better to kill tanks with other than tanks, Tanks do a huge amount of damage to other tanks. And what you saw that right there was a really lucky micro of my tank. It had like double digits health, I believe, and it was able to barely escape, even though the fleet point was kind of messed up. Well, it wasn't really the fleet point, but it was the pathfinding, where it kind of went through the army to get away from the army. But whatever, it lived. And also, a good counter against tanks is mine blasters. They do a huge amount of damage due to the AEO damage that mine blasters do. And just like the PKs, the tanks have a hard time hitting the MBs. And what you saw pretty much right there was me not paying close attention to my army, and literally it was getting burned by that fire dome and doing huge amounts of damage to me. And then I run through another fire dome because I need to help my ally as quickly as possible because he is getting dominated. There was one guy to the left attacking him, one guy to the right attacking him, and because he had that super gun of his, and neither team wanted to be, hit by it. But luckily we get there in time and we're able to push him back. But there's a big problem with the chieftain that keeps on bombarding us, because he's just doing huge amounts of AEO damage to us. If my APM was a little higher, I could probably individually select the people who are being under attack by the chieftain and move them away from my allies, or from my units. But I just can't do that. And right there, you see my first super tank popping out. It's pretty sweet. And the cool part about a super tank factory is after its super tank comes out, it just makes another super tank. So more and more super tanks just keep on coming out. It's a good thing that I own that super toxic over there, and no one can try to stop us, because if they try to run over to that super toxic, they're gonna have to run through an entire army and buildings and everything, which means they're pretty much sacrificing their army almost, unless they have a huge army that can take on everything. And what you see me doing right there is I'm building a salvage yard up front so that my dump trucks have closer way to the salvage. To the trash. A closer distance to dump the trash. And then you notice that since I've got some time, I'm not attacking anyone's army. I'm just attacking structures that are undefended. I have a good amount of trash. And so I was like, okay, time to build some upgrades, So I'm building a couple upgrades. And right there you see this guy attacking him, and then my friend was saying pull back, because I believe there's 2 armies in that, 2 mutant armies. I'm not sure, but I believe that's what it is. And so he's got to, if he doesn't pull back, he'll be under attack. His entire army might die. So he pulls back. Later on, he's just relentlessly attacking right now. And so I'm building more upgrades. The combustive area upgrades are really good with my tanks because it helps them hit the smaller units better. And you see a bunch of attacks going on. Currently on the right side, he's pulling back right now because what happened was, because he started attacking the southern eastern guy, they came into Pop-Tart space, and I had just one lone super tank in there. And so basically the strategy I like to use with super tanks is when you set a super tank into the middle of a battlefield, everyone's first instinct is to attack that super tank. But see, the thing is, if I allow them to attack the super tank has so much health that it can take a bunch of hits, and it'll take a good amount of time before it dies. So basically what I do is I set my other units and I start attacking their units with my other units. And basically what happens is